Hello, welcome to Scrap Time episode 1079. My name is Christina. On today's episode, we are making a card using the Ranger Frosted Embossing Powders with the Lawn Fawn Snowy Backdrops die. Today we are making this card and I use the Lawn Fawn Snowy Backdrop die with the Let It Snow border. So you can see here this is the snowy backdrop and then put Let It Snow on top. And we are using some frosted embossing powders to make this. So I'll show you and explain as we go. So I cut the snowy backdrops from a piece of Wonder Tape. So I'm going to just show you here. This is from Ranger and it is adhesive, a double-sided adhesive tape. Now this one is heat resistant, which is important because we're going to be embossing this. So you have to make sure whatever adhesive you're using, it is heat resistant for this technique. Not all double-sided tapes will work. So just to watch that when you're going to try this out. So I have... What I did too is I colored the background using some distress ink. This one here was white, and so you'll see the white and the blue. So I thought if I color it, what it's going to be like, so we can compare the two at the end. And we're going to be embossing it and with a combination of sky blue, it's one of Wendy Vecchi's embossing powders with Ranger, with the frosted crystal embossing powders. And what I did is I have another container and I put even amounts of both of these powders in here. And that's what gives us the variation of color. So instead of being completely solid blue, if we had just used this, that's what gives us the light and darkness in the background, is the combination of the two embossing powders. So I'm going to take off the one side. So as I said, I had previously inked it in blue. And I'm going to put this embossing powder over the entire background. So it looks like we're using like all the powder, but by the time we finish, we wouldn't have used much. But I like to just cover it all to begin with. And then I use my finger and just make sure so it's covered, and then I just hit off the excess. So you can see how much we have left. So even though it looked like we were using a lot, we didn't really use that much. So I'm going to close this up. And then so now we just need to emboss this. So I just need to let it cool for a moment. So in the meantime, I had previously cut out Let It Snow, and I cut it out from a shimmery white paper. So let's just going to wipe off this powder. So let's see here, if we bring back our original card, you can see that the one we did now that had the blue is a lot darker than this one. A lot more of the white is showing through, whereas here, wherever it was lighter, it's still a lighter blue versus a lighter blue and darker blue contrast compared to the white and blue contrast. So whichever look you prefer. Now in this one I had used dimensionals to stick it up, but this time I'm going to stick it right down onto the card. And so I have a card here, and you might be able to see that this side is shinier. I put a piece of shiny white paper on this side as our main, just to give a nicer front finish. So now I have to figure out which corner to get that backing off. Actually, you know what I did? Okay, no, I don't have a backing. I'm sorry, I had done this before. I actually already glued it onto cardstock. So it's on cardstock. I already stuck it down on cardstock before doing all this. So if I want to have it flat, I'm going to use some multi-medium. Now I find multi-medium's the easiest way to do this because it has so many openings. This sponges. Here, I'll use the back of this to sponge it on. So you just sponge on your medium. And then stick it down onto your card. Now I'll have to see, I might have to go back with a thicker medium because that was a very thin medium. So we'll see if it will stick or not. I think I'm going to use a thicker medium. I will use Dina's. Oh, it's sort of sticking, isn't it? Now that I put it on crooked. Okay, here, let me take it off. Let's use a thicker medium. You can see the difference there, how thick this one is compared to that previous one I had used. The heavier your material is, the heavier gel you want to use. I'm going to put a bit more down, I think. And now our paper is rolling, which doesn't help the matter. So you want to lay it on. And because it's thicker and now rolling, I think I need to just give it a little bit of pressure and time here just to adhere before we put on our words. So I'm just going to spend a little time just adhering this down, and then we'll come back and do the words. So I got the background to stay down, and what I did is I had my large acrylic block and I just used that to add pressure to it and just while it was drying to hold it down. So now I'm going to take the Let It Snow and I'm going to use the medium again, because again with these small little dies it's hard to put glue on them, so the medium works really well. I'm just going to position it along there. It's just going to take a moment to dry, but it will adhere to that. My fingers keep bringing it up. I could even put a little bit of the medium over top, like you would in collaging. And then once it dries, I will just snip the ends. And there we have the second of the Let It Snow cards, using the Lawn Fawn Snowy backdrop, the Let It Snow die, and then combining the frosted crystals with the regular sky blue crystals. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to check out our website at www.scraptime.ca. And on our next episode, I'm showing you the Waffle Flower Magical Stamp and Die Set. So please join us. Thanks for watching Scrap Time.